Hello, everybody. It has been a little while since we've done a product update, and it is a good time to do it because now that we're in Q4, it's a good time to show off everything that we built in the third quarter of 2025. And it was a whirlwind of changing infrastructure, adding features, and putting it all with a nice bow on it and packaging it up in the new tiers that we have. And so I'm Braden Dennis, co-founder and CEO of Fiscal.ai. I have Ryan Henderson, who leads our research team, and we're going to go through some of the things that we've done. Basically, everything from version 4.6 now to we are now in 5.2.1. Henderson, I think a great place to start is on a company's financials. Talk about all the plumbing that's changed, and because of that change, how users can see the actual benefits of what we've done.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it might not appear right when you hit the platform, but the benefits of changing our data infrastructure are going to be spread all across the platform in little ways, and ultimately it's going to have a huge impact on the usability and the user experience. So, for example, the first thing you're going to notice when you hit the financials page, I'm using Alphabet here as an example, there's more data. So you're going to get 20 years of available data, as well as 40 quarters that you can scroll and click through and basically check between quarters, last 12 month, annual. And that goes all the way from the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, all of it. We're tracking back up to 20 years. Any others in terms of the data history that I'm missing here?
No, data history is one thing that is really nice to have more at a table. And if you click on that, obviously you'll get that graphically as well too, both annually and quarterly, extended history. I think the next point to discuss would be click through and standardized versus as reported content.
Yeah, so you just mentioned it there. Because we're able to pull the data from the filings using our own infrastructure, you can easily hover over this little magnifying glass icon next to any number, and you'll automatically see where that number came from. So in this case, I'm looking at the last quarter revenue for Google. If I hover over this icon, I can easily expand the table, and I've got the entire income statement from the latest 10Q in this case. So you can always verify the data this way, but it also helps if you, in the top right corner here, you can actually click to the original filing. And sometimes it provides some nice additional context beyond just the numbers themselves. So if there's any management commentary that you can scroll through or scroll around for those numbers specifically, it's kind of nice to have.
And it's key because it will bring you to the exact page that this is found. So in that case, page 6 of, say, 40 pages in the document is really quite handy.
Yeah, the next thing worth mentioning as well is the standardized versus as reported data. So prior to this big infrastructure update, you're only getting the standardized numbers. And it's really helpful to have the standardized numbers for comparing companies either within the same industry or across industries, because companies report their financials in different ways. And even though some of the outputs look similar, they might break out different segments, they might break out different line items that give you a little more visibility into the specifics of that company. And so we've built out the as reported tab, which is going to give you typically a more granular breakdown of that company. So in this case, you're splitting sales and marketing as opposed to sales, marketing, general, and administrative. You get the actual sales and marketing figures there. There's all these different company specific line items that they report. So sometimes you might not want the as reported, you might just want the standardized, but you're able to simply toggle between the two so that you can get a better glimpse of each company's financial picture.
Yeah, and if you go to something like JP Morgan in the top there, if you just search up JPM, this is where in the standardized statement, it's quite nice because you'll actually see, click on the second line item, what goes into non-interest income. Yeah. So this is where you're going to see, and it's in billions right now, so it's just single integers, but that's where you're going to see the exact things that go into it. And these templates are much more complicated for banks, utilities, insurance. And so this is where you're going to get a lot of the value outside of just a general template as well too.
Right. I mean, with a bank, you see the total revenue figure, and there's so many inputs that go into it. So to be able to split it out and chart those next to one another or compare them in the table as well is going to be really nice and handy for the investors that like to dig into those line items.
Yeah. Moving on, I think it would be important for us to just touch on a couple other things that we've done inside of this capability. We've launched an enterprise tier, and I know you and Aria made a video on our YouTube channel about all of that, and all these capabilities and the full data history is available now in that enterprise tier, which basically just gives the whole package. It is aimed at the more professional use cases, and we're going to be rolling in an Excel add-in in there as well as a couple other things. Now you can export this data table as well too. It comes out, you can put it in an Excel file, CSV, or copy it directly into your clipboard. And that's my preferred method, just because it's so much easier and you already have the workbook open. And it keeps things easy. Moving on, if you go back to any company, or you can roll with JP, totally up to you. I think we should talk about a change in the investor relations tab, which is that as you toggle between transcript, report, and slides, this right panel will adjust the summary that is creating depending on the content that is there on the left. So you'll see here on the pill below, it says AI generated on the transcript. Now, if you do the same thing on the report, maybe let's do a custom summary this time and say extract every time they talked about AWS. So because the prompt was extract every time it says something, it's going to take longer in terms of compute rather than just summarize this content. So that is one thing to note. And so on page 1, it says everything that was listed there. That's super helpful. On page 2, this was mentioned, and this is amazing, right? Because now you're getting exactly every time these things were mentioned in this content.
Yeah, and there's nuance between the report and the transcript, and there's different color that the management team might add. So having specific summaries designed for those specific filing types, whatever it is, whether it's the slides, the report, or the actual transcript itself, is helpful and gives a little bit of extra added color for anyone using these AI summary features.
Yeah, and it's even capable on the slides. We won't do it because that takes even more time and compute. But again, also possible to do this type of activity on the entire slide deck. Sometimes over 100 slides long. Okay, now moving on, I think we'll talk about the overview page. The overview page, we've added some additional content. If you scroll down, so on the right, you're going to see that chart as per usual. There's this bull say, bear say content that we probably discussed on the last update in our partnership with Morningstar. But if you scroll down, we have this new what's happening feed. Now, the what's happening feed is basically a 30-day look back period updated daily. And so, there's not always some big news story for every company on a monthly trailing basis. Sometimes there is, but for some of these larger companies with a lot of content being produced about them daily, it is pretty nice to see kind of what happens. And it's an attempt to explain, what's happening specifically with the equity, what's happening with the stock. People are always trying to figure that out, as well as in professional use cases, sometimes you need to know and have this content documented for compliance purposes when moving in and out of a name. So this feature right here can be quite helpful and is tied to our new news tab, Henderson.
Yeah, so it's being powered by the news tab here. And what's great about both the overview, what's happening feature, as well as the news is it's not going to give you the complete picture for the business, but it's going to get you up to speed, sort of a shortcut on what is happening lately. So what's impacting the equity price? And so often, I mean, that was probably one of the most common queries on our Fiscal Copilot of why is the stock down? Why is the stock up? Whatever it is. Now we're answering those questions either in the news feed or in the what's happening lately feed as well.
And I think that strikes a bit of a strategy decision that you'll see on the product over the last year, which is instead of us giving you the ability to query that in some sort of open-ended chat experience, to providing it to you before you even ask where you want it and where you're used to getting it. And that's a materially more useful workflow in my view in the age of AI today, with an open-ended chat being available in your favorite ChatGPT, Claude, and Anthropic type product. We're going to provide you what you actually want specifically for your workflow, where you want it, and when you want it, right in the product without you even having to ask. And so I think that's materially more useful.
Yeah, it just completely reduces friction.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the last place we'll show off the news is we've reworked the dashboard news content, and this news content before was kind of broken. So we fixed it for one. So sorry for people's struggles with this page originally, but it's fixed now. But it's also now bringing in everything that we had just shown you over the last few minutes when it comes to news content. And you're still going to get the company updates on the left, which is first party content, and then the media is third party content. That's the way to think about this page here. And I think it looks quite nice and is very handy for when you're going to want a list of things happening related to a certain sub list, whether it's a watch list, whether it's your holdings, whether it's a thematic list of ideas of companies you like. This is where it's going to be particularly useful.
Yeah, and the goal with the fiscal dashboard is to be the homepage for investors. And if you're having to, anytime your stock price moves, whatever it is, one of your holdings, if you're having to go to separate news sources in order to find out why, that's taken away from being your homepage. So this is once again just another effort at helping people stay informed on why prices are changing the way that they are. And you can't see it here because it opens up in a new tab. But if you want to click into any of these articles and expand them fully, you can easily just do that right here. Just click on any of these articles. It pulls in both from summaries, like news summaries, AI generated with one of our news partners. And then it can also take you to other news sites as well. So you can see we've got Forbes in here. You'll see CNBC and some others as well.
If only there's, I guess the next iteration is how do we filter out all of these news sources pretending to be news by actually just making you pay for stock picks on Forbes, like that top article. But maybe that's another problem for us to tackle. Okay, we also refactored the notifications panel, so not much to discuss there, but you will notice some improvement on things just working a little bit more seamlessly, less issues with the dashboard overall. I will say, it's not to come to our own defense here, but when we are in the business of edge cases, and so we have to constantly build something, and it is almost impossible to make it work all the time for 55,000 different pages without any issue ever. But I think we've made some really good strides, and what we're doing on the back end right now is to make it even more reliable moving forward. Okay, the last two items for us to talk about that we just pushed, and then we'll talk about what's next. So now, just a little quality of life thing, you can reshuffle custom metrics. This was asked a lot. So if you're adding a custom metric for a company, and so Henderson will show you how to do that in financials, go into custom metrics. There's now this little easily moved. Yeah, exactly. See, now you can drag them up and down. When you set up a list of metrics globally across all these different companies or company specific ones, sometimes you want to change the order and you don't want to have to delete things and make them all again. And so this is pretty useful. AWS ARR, I'm curious what that metric is. If you click on edit, what did you do here?
Yeah, you're just taking the quarterly AWS figure and multiplying it times 4. So
okay, it's just like a run rate number.
Yeah. And it's not too far off from their trailing revenue, depending on the growth rate, obviously, of the business line. But yeah, it's just different things you can do. And then you can actually take the
just latest quarter times 4 rather than like an LTM, because then that gives you like today's run rate.
Right. And there's, I
Yeah.
mean, custom metrics on its own, there's sort of endless applications for
Yeah.
metrics that you can create, especially given our segments and KPIs and all the unique company specific data points we've got there.
Yeah. This was one of these things where it's instead of us giving people every metric possible under the sun, we just said, go crazy, build whatever you need here. We'll give you all the data and a builder to appropriately build them. And then the last thing, if you just go to fiscal.ai/pricing, Henderson, we have now changed the pricing a little bit to just remove that plus tier. So this makes the pro tier more approachable for users. Um, and then now that we have the enterprise tier, just makes things a little bit more straightforward on what your options are. Now, the last thing that I'll also mention that maybe is hugely understated in the top left there. If you go to products and click this is going to open a new tab. But if you go to the APIs or you go to docs.fiscal.ai in the browser, the API is now fully live for, as of today, recording Canada, US, a bunch of different numbers. We have the segments and the KPIs, all the financials, adjusted metrics, every ratio, filings, um, lots more. We got to update that coming soon tab right there, because that is now in live in the API there in Canada. So I'll take that back after this call. Just scroll down on the left side there, Henderson. Yeah, keep going. Ratios, some of these KPIs. Oh, yes, have stock prices on a 30-year look back, and you can go right to the filing, both image and PDF for the financials as well through API.
And
So this is
importantly,
super handy.
the adjusted numbers. This is one that has been highly requested from customers because so many estimates that we pull into the platform are adjusted figures. Analysts are adjusting out certain line items there, and so by us being able to pull the adjusted numbers, which will be coming into the terminal shortly as well, uh, it just gives better visibility into what are the analysts looking at as opposed to just the pure gap numbers.
Yeah, that's right. Consider it done. Just the release of this video and when adjusted numbers are coming into the terminal. This is super wonderful. This is super helpful because you have every company reporting some adjustments. Well, I shouldn't say every company, but most reporting some adjustments on some key metrics, and forward estimates are using those adjusted numbers in consensus when analysts are coming up with their projections. And so marrying the two, now they're actually going to match when using these adjusted figures. So that will come in as a new tab in the financials. And then lastly, the big item we talked about before, Excel add-in, is now underway. So we're building out a nice, beautiful syntax and guide on how to use that. And then that'll be available in Excel and then also after into Google Sheets. So you can get the database on tap right into your spreadsheets. And yeah, I'm trying to think, is there anything else, Henderson?
No, I'd say between the standardized and as reported data, the click through auditability, the data downloading capabilities, so being able to easily just export any financial statement from a company, and the Excel add-in that's coming, we are making ourselves truly a modern platform, a modern data terminal for professional investors as well, as opposed
Yeah.
to just charting for individuals and getting access to data. We're building all the workflows around the data that we've got. So building your own models, uh, charting it, pulling in 20 years of data, it's all going to be doable here shortly through Fiscal AI.
And people will ask us, why are you able to do some of these things in the last 3 months that some of the other competing online platforms for investment research are not able to? And the reason why is because unless they license our content through the API, what we are doing is fundamentally different in the fact that we are actually a data infrastructure company as well. And that allows us to do a couple of key things. One of them be charge reasonable prices for professionals. Two, have no delay from the data being available. So this is giving real-time financials the first. This is the first time it's actually ever been done. So usually you're waiting 3 days before it's kind of clean, consolidated, and delivered. Now we're at 2 to 3 minutes, let alone 2 to 3 days. As well as having that kind of click through auditability for compliance, or just you know building trust in the data. The financial data is very much a show me, don't tell me that the quality is good. And so because of those reasons, we're able to do those three things. And so that's why it's fundamentally different, as we're being our own infrastructure provider as well. And that's going to help us speed up incrementally from here in terms of other things that we're able to build and do, like that Excel add-in. We couldn't do that before without owning the content.
Yeah, and especially once we've got the Excel add-in completed here, by leveraging our own database, since that data, as soon as a company reports their earnings, let's say it's up in 5 minutes, if you're an analyst that has to update your model, using that Fiscal AI Excel add-in, you can do it literally within minutes of a company reporting their earnings. There's no longer this 3-4 day delay between earnings and model updated and presenting it to the rest of the team.
Yeah, and for all companies, because there's some companies that have solved this exact issue when it comes to Excel modeling, but it'll be for like 2,000 companies. So what about the rest of the universe? And so um, that's really helpful as well. And because it's coming in so fast, the product, the terminal or Excel add-in is actually useful at earnings again. I mean, I've seen this song and dance from analysts so many times where you use the data terminal for a historical look back on getting ramped up. But once it's already, you have a model built or it's already in your coverage list, you're going right to the filings and into the investor relations content after earnings, because it's not in any consolidator,
Yeah.
right? And so that helps a lot.
Yeah, this should uh, truly be sort of the homepage for analysts and investors as we continue to build out all the different functionality built around this truly modern core data infrastructure that we've got. So I think that's going to do it in terms of all the changes that we've had over the last couple months. Stay tuned for our Q4 update as well. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can go to Fiscal.ai, contact our team, or can sign up on your own as well. And thank you all for tuning in and listening.